Thanks for clicking on this video. If you want to follow along, the links to the companion worksheet are in the description below. So today we're talking about powers of complex numbers. Now in previous videos we've talked about multiplying complex numbers in trigonometric form and dividing complex numbers in trigonometric form. Now today we're going to work with finding powers. So here, this complex number 2 cosine 3 pi over 4 plus I sine 3 pi over 4 is being raised to the third power. Now, if you wanted to, you could write this out as this number times itself 3 times, but that's a little tedious. And what would happen is you would multiply the magnitudes and you would add the angles. But a shortcut is to say, well, if we're going to multiply this 3 times, let's just write it like that, 2 to the third. And we're going to add this angle 3 times. Let's just do that. So what happens is I take this magnitude and raise it to this power, and then I take this angle and multiply it by that power. So 3 pi over 4 times 3 is 9 pi over 4. Now, some teachers may not, or some textbooks may not accept 9 pi over 4 because 9 pi over 4 is bigger than 2 pi. And so what has to happen is, well, if it's too big, you have to subtract 2 pi, or 8 pi over 4. And when you do, you get pi over 4 plus I sine pi over 4. And again, that's going to depend on your teacher or on your textbook. And also, if your teacher or textbook allows it, you could write it in the shorter form of 8 CIS pi over 4. Now for number 2, we're doing the same thing. We're going to take 6 and raise it to the 4th power. And then we're going to take this power 4 and multiply 5 pi over 4 by that. So our angle is 5 pi. Now 6 to the 4th, we'll calculate that, and we get 1,296. Now again, if your angle has to be between 0 and 2 pi, you're going to have to subtract 2 pi because this is too big. And actually, you're going to have to subtract it twice to get pi plus I sine. And so every time you do that, you have to add or subtract 2 pi and then ask, is my angle between 0 and 2 pi? And if it is, great, stop. But if it's not, then you have to repeat the process until you get something that is between 0 and 2 pi. And again, if you want to write it in shorthand, 1296 CIS pi. Now on the second page, we are doing the same thing, except now we're starting with these in standard form. And so what we want to do is we want to first convert them into trigonometric form. Now we had another video about that, if you need to review that, but really quick, we'll graph them. So this right here is 1 plus I. And so this has an angle of 45, and I'm going to use degrees for this. And this has a magnitude of square root of 2. So this is square root of 2 CIS 45 degrees. Now we're still raising this to the 5th power. So that means I'm going to take square root of 2 and raise it to the 5th power. So 2 to the 5th is 32. And then I'm going to take 45 and multiply it by 5. And I get 225 degrees. Now 32, I cannot take the square root and get a whole number. But baked into that is 16. And I can take the square root of that. Now 225 is between 0 and 360, so we don't have to find a coterminal angle for that one. So there's our answer for number 3. Number 4, we're taking this angle and raising this to the 4th power. Now we'll graph it. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4 for the real, 1, 2, down 3 for the imaginary. So this is 4 minus 3i, and this makes a 3, 4, 5 right triangle, so the magnitude is 5. Now, A lot of people think that a 3, 4, 5 right triangle is a 30, 60, 90. It is not. So I'm going to use my calculator. So tan inverse of 3 over 4 gives me 36.9 degrees. And that's this right here. But that's not what I want. I want the angle from here. So when I subtract that from 360, I get 323.1 degrees. Now I'm still raising this to the 4th power. So I need to take 5, raise that to the 4th power, and then take 323 times 4. And when we do, we get 625 CIS 1292.5 degrees. Now that angle is too big, so I'm going to subtract 360, and I'm going to have to probably subtract more than once in order to get my angle between 0 and 360. Now again, that'll depend on your teacher and your textbook. So we get 625 CIS 212.5. And the last one. Here we have 1 minus square root of 3i. So negative square root of 3 is about negative 1.7. Minus square root of 3i. Now this makes a 1 square root of 3, 2. That's a Pythagorean triple, because this makes a 30, 60, 90 right triangle, and that's 60 degrees. So this angle over here is 300. So we have 2 CIS 300 degrees, but that's being raised to the 6th power. So I have 2 to the 6th power, and then I'm going to take 300 and multiply by 6. So I have 64 CIS 1800. And I'm going to have to definitely subtract 360 a couple times. And actually, I get 64 CIS 0 degrees. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, hit the like button. And if you want to see more, click the subscribe button. To support the channel, click the links down below. Thanks for watching. And remember, the best way to understand something is to do it.